Welcome to Deep Conversations Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Ryan Stewart, and today I am here with a really dope entrepreneur. She's an artist. Her name is JoNia Miller.
Yes.
So before we start, I want you to, for the people that don't know who you are, I want you to give a little insight of who you are and a little bit of your childhood upbringing.
Okay. You said my name is JoNia, or Nia to everyone who knows and loves me. Um, I was pretty much raised. I was born in Delaware, but I was raised most of my life in New Jersey. I was born with congenital cataracts. I was born blind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's like to be completely blind. I've had minimal vision in my left eye up until I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
And because my right eye has always been so dominant, I didn't know when that vision was. I lost it
Mm-hmm.
until I went to the doctor's office, and that's when I realized it was gone. Um, but I never let my visual impairment or like define who I was. My family never let that define who I was. They always told me and instilled in me a belief that I can do and be anything that I wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of, with challenges that I faced. Um, for growing up, for me, I always felt like I did everything that, anybody else did with certain modifications for my vision or whatever. But I always believed that I could do anything. And early on, I realized drawing and designing was my gift. I love to draw. I don't remember a time in my life that I didn't have a pencil and a piece of paper in my
Yeah.
hand. And it was always like a happy place for me. It was peace, and I could draw for hours. And I knew this is what I wanted to do with my life, was, draw and design. So I went off to art school. I went to the Art Institute of Philadelphia. That might be showing my age a little
Mm.
bit. And I graduated from there with my associate's degree. And I, at the time, I thought it was the best choice for me. But, going and learning, living and learning, I appreciate what the Art Institute gave me. But I do believe I wish I would have took a different route as far as schooling goes. I felt like there was still so much for me that I didn't learn in that certain setting, that I did decide, to go back to school. But with others urging, like, go back for something different. Just like, even though your family wants the best for you, like, them urging you, saying, go back to have something else under your belt at the time. It seems
Yeah.
like a good idea, but it's not. It's more because of their fear that they don't want you to fall or get
Mm-hmm.
stuck. Like, you going into, you want to be an artist, like, that's not the norm. Especially the time I was growing up, that's not what you did.
Yeah.
So I did go back to school to, have something else under my belt. I went to Widener. I got my degree in psychology, minor in criminal
Mm.
justice, just to have something else, under, as they say, under my belt, as I still tried to pursue my career in art, doing fashion shows, doing sketches for people, um, personal sketches to help develop their line or whatever. And life took a turn, and I had my first daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay. So I did deviate from my art path into a career in mental health, where I kind of stayed that path for a good, say, 10 to 15 years. And that's when I think I decided, I think in 2014, like, and I had kind of deviated from like drawing and stuff, because, life took over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Life happens.
Yeah.
So, and I said, I had talked to God, and I'm like, you know what? I really want to go back to what I thought I was supposed to be doing. It was a pull for me. Like, I enjoyed helping others with other disabilities, mental or physical disabilities, but I felt like that part, my creative part, what I was supposed to be doing in the first place, was missing. So I said, if you give me back my gift, I won't let it go.
Ooh.
He gave it back to me. So I picked up a pen, a note, a sketch pad, and a pencil, and it felt like I never left. Whatever skills I had at that time were still there, and I just kept going. So even though I was still working, in 2014, I started, putting myself out there again in Facebook groups, I think Instagram was really kind of digging into an art page on Instagram and trying to show up as much as I could
Mm-hmm.
with balancing life, work, and that. So I was doing pretty good. Like a lot of my clients were coming like word of mouth or whatever. So even though I was only part time, I was still making a career for myself, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided, I think after the pandemic hit, I think 2021 or something like that, I decided, I'm gonna really jump off the deep end and go for it and go in, do this full time with the support of like my husband and my children. I decided to like really give bet on myself and give myself a shot. And I honestly, even though the good, bad, and ugly, I feel it's the best decision I made for myself. I feel like I'm constantly learning. Like I can draw all day long, but the
Mm-hmm.
business part is a teacher.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is
it
a
is.
teacher.
I I'm listening to you, and your story is so much like mine.
Mhm,
Almost kind of. I don't want to say exact, but
mhm.
it's almost because I was born with cerebral palsy. So,
Okay.
when I was younger, again, I always tell everybody, I'm like, I went through some surgeries and stuff like that, but my childhood, I remember doing just about everything. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
Like you said, just I guess with the limitations that I had, but I was playing sports, I was wrestling, and my brothers and my mother and my father, they never treated me no different. They never told me nothing was wrong with me. You know what I mean? So
mhm,
I never believed that. It was when you got outside and people would ask or people would look, and then you would
mhm.
in my head, I'm like, well, I don't. My mom and my brothers, they never told me nothing was wrong. Like, I don't. What do you see? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
as I got older, that those things just always play in your mind. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And you was talking about mental health and psychology. That stuff is real. I mean, people don't say a lot, about things that's bothering them and stuff like that. We kind of tend to keep it in.
yeah. I mean, at the time, like mental health and things like that, it's more in the forefront now. But I
Hmm.
feel like, I mean, again, I might be showing my age again, but growing up younger, we didn't know what anxiety and all that was. It was just like, suck it up and just keep moving.
Hmm.
And I really didn't understand. I mean, working in the mental health field, but then like I didn't really get to see the forefront of what someone going through anxiety and depression was
Hmm.
until my oldest at the age of 13 started going through it.
Hmm.
So I feel like I got a real up close and personal seat on what this was and how to navigate through it because I mean, as a parent, you want your kids to have whatever they need. So
Hmm.
I mean, finding resources, talking to people that having connections and stuff in that space, making sure she had whatever she needed and learning with her together to navigate through that because I was her support. I mean,
Hmm.
I was her not her support, but like her advocate. Her like I
Yeah.
needed to make sure she was good. So seeing her go through certain things, um, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, that was my son. Seeing her go through certain things like gave me a better understanding what this looks like. Like again, it made me see some things in her that I didn't know growing up in myself. Like, oh wow,
Hmm.
I did that, but I
Hmm.
didn't know what that was.
Yep.
Like my parents, we never talked about that. It was
Yeah.
never mental health was never a thing. It was just, you were scared or, self-doubt or, we're gonna move through this. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
handle it. But seeing her go through changes and like, different stages, I was like, I recognized some of those things when I was
Hmm.
her age. And I was like, oh wow, I never had an idea what that was, but I never for like far as my visual impairment, it was never a thing for me. I know I had to learn that when people saw me, they saw my eyes first. It's visible. So
Mm-hmm.
they always had questions. I've had people tell me to my face they weren't going to hire me because of they weren't sure about my
Mm-hmm.
vision or if I could handle the job or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I always took it upon myself when I went into a room to always throw that on the table. Like, listen, you can't technically ask because you're not supposed to, but I know you have questions. So
Mm-hmm.
let me just, let's deal with the elephant in the room. I can do this, 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 and this. These are my qualifications. Let my resume and things speak for myself. Like I had
Mm-hmm.
to, I had to feel like I had to go the extra step and sell myself more, a
Yep.
little bit more than versus someone with 20/20 vision.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, a lot of times I think people appreciated that. It kind of worked in my favor,
Mm-hmm.
being upfront and being transparent about what I could do, what I couldn't do, or whatever. Like that really, I feel it was a benefit for me other than a hindrance because it made people feel like they were more comfortable because they couldn't ask because it was kind of
I
illegal to do
know.
those
Yeah, and
things.
it is. Yep, and it's and like it's that's as you were saying it, I was saying to myself, I'm like, I have found myself a lot of times, even in just regular conversation, and not even just job things. You kind of just,
Hmm.
I found myself having to throw that out there because, again, like you said, it's visual, and it's as I'm walking up to people, you know, they'll look down.
Hmm.
They'll look down, and it's like, because I have a slight limp, so people will look down, and me in my mind, I'm like, I know once you get to know me,
Hmm.
that's going to go out the window. You're not even going to.
Yep.
I mean, you're obviously going to see it, but that's not going to be the first thing that you see anyway.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And that is it's that's crazy. You said it. I never noticed that, but I do.
Hmm.
I've always done that. Now you've created your brand is called Virgo Chanel.
Yes. It was before it was Virgo Chanel, it was just my name. It was just JoNia Miller.
Okay.
But I decided at the beginning of the year, it was something in my business that wasn't moving in the direction that I wanted to go in. I couldn't quite pinpoint like what that was for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had shut down my website and for a while because I felt like I needed a break and I needed to really kind of think, what direction are you trying to move yourself in? What kind of direction you moving your business in? Where do you want to go? Like I knew in my mind where I wanted to go, but I needed to sit with it and kind of like figure out, what do you want to do instead of feel like I was coasting and
Mm-hmm.
just doing all the things. So like I had spoke with like my husband. I like, well, what do you think? Like I think I want to, and I didn't realize at the time until I talked to Genesis. She's been helping me like kind of rebuild my business and everything. And I explained to her, I was like, I felt like I needed to change my business name because like it was she's what she said was, you're thinking of your business as you're one and the same. Like you and your business are not the same person. And when she said that, I felt like a light bulb went off. And I'm like, you're right. And that's how I was moving. I was JoNia Miller. I was my brand.
The
Like the
brand.
brand with me, there was no separation.
Mm.
And I wasn't looking at my business as a separate piece and me as the creative director, my business as a whole thing into it. It was as its own person. So I changed my I changed everything. I think was May. I reopened my site back up in June. And like I was still working. I still had clients that came to me, work like found me through Instagram, word of mouth, or like
Mm-hmm.
referrals and stuff. It was just like, where do you want to go to the next level with your brand? And like Virgo Chanel for me is like, well, it's my zodiac sign and my middle name. That's where the name came from.
Okay.
But it was like the it's a representation of Black women and women of color to give them a voice, like showing them, oh, I can see myself in this work, so they can be seen. Like aspects of all, we're as women, we're all made up of different pieces. We're not just mothers or doctors or career women or stay-at-home moms. We're beautiful, we're courageous, we have disabilities, we have shortcomings, we have good days, we have bad days. And I want to highlight all that through my art, because when I look at my art, I want to see myself in my art, and I want other women to kind of see themselves, or they might I see themselves, but oh, that looks like a friend of mine, or that looks like my mom, or I have a feeling of being seen. So that's where like that was always the purpose of my art, but just feeling like where do you want to move your business to? I feel like I'm moving in the I have a clearer path than I did before
Yeah.
when I mean, and I know business, like going into business for yourself is not a clear straight path. It's a lot of dips
Ooh,
and
yeah.
dives. Sometimes my husband like tells me, keep your eye on the path. And sometimes I'm like, look, I can't see the path. The trees that fell around me. I'm
Mm.
stuck in a space, and right now I'm just clearing out the branches.
Mm.
So sometimes I understand. Sometimes the path isn't clear. Like you don't see 6 feet in front of you, but sometimes I couldn't see two.
Mm.
All I saw was just right here, right now, and I need to kind of figure it out.
It's funny. It's funny. I'm gonna tell you a little story, but before that, with the name Virgo Chanel,
Mhm.
again, when it fits because when I was reading your bio and you were talking about empowering women and women of color, that Virgo Chanel fits because it's feminine. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then the things that you do and you're drawing and you're I was looking at some of your drawings yesterday and I'm like, it's for me, I mean, just the colors first. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It pops to you, but it's you know when you draw the women and stuff like that, and how you just described it, everybody has their shortcomings and all this kind of stuff. You can see that in your drawings just by the way the women how they're sitting, or they may have their hand resting on it, and it's just it
Mhm.
it tells a story, and you do a really really good job at it. But the story I was going to tell you, like you said, this entrepreneur path is like it's a it can really really play on your mental
Mhm.
because in I feel like a lot of this a lot of people we've throughout COVID and stuff like that we found something in ourselves that we found our gifts and the things that that we're most passionate about, and you see a lot of people jumping out and betting on themselves.
Mhm.
And in January 2022, I was working a 9 to 5, and like you said, just life was happening. And I think I started this podcast in 2020, I think. But
Mhm.
in January last year, January 2022, I was tired of just going to work and I'm like, this is not fulfilling at all. Like I'm waking
Mhm.
up, I'm angry. It's I'm going to work and then I'm coming back home and I have like a not a good attitude in the house, and my wife
Mhm.
can feel it, my kids can feel it, and I'm not hollering at nobody, but you just you have that energy on you. So I just
Mhm.
remember in January, I remember just one day, just it was like it was yesterday. I was talking to God like I do every day, just in my I'm walking and I'm like, Lord, I think I know I figured out what I wanted to do. I know what I want to do, and all I ask is I'm going to go about it. You know what I mean? I'm going to follow this path because this gives me the most peace. I'm happy doing this, and by the end of the year, if you could just get me out of this job by December 31st, I'm good, and I just hope you hear me. And I left it alone.
Mhm.
Come the end of right before Thanksgiving, my boss says, Ryan, a lot of things going on in the job. It's going to be a few people that's getting let go. So December 16th is going to be your last day. And I kind of like laughed a little bit, and she was like,
Mhm.
she looked at me, and she's like, I thought you'd be a little bit more upset, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you don't even know what I'm thinking about or what I was asking him back in
Mhm.
January. But after I left, I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. Now
Mhm.
I know what I want to do. I'm gonna jump into this, but like you said, you really don't plan on the trees falling and
No,
the debris and all that. And there's gonna be tough times, but when you in it and this hail's falling too,
you don't want to hear honestly, you don't want to hear like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Well, right now I can't see the light. Right now we here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's yep. Mm-hmm.
Right now we here. No, I hear what you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
but right now it's it's a tornado going on,
Oof.
and I need you to talk to me about this tornado and like
Yeah,
encourage me just to get through the tornado. Don't talk to me about the light.
yeah, yeah. Because
Because
I
right now we
can't.
can't see
I
that.
can't. The doors are closed and the windows are shattering. It's like
Yeah, it's
it's.
just
But this is the what I've learned is it's a test of how bad do you really want it.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's everybody. Everybody wants to do things and jump into the entrepreneur thing, and it's like we all just see I got these goals for this and I got these goals and I want to start doing this. And when I start making money for myself, I'll be able
Mm-hmm.
to do this and I had the free time. When you
Yeah.
jump into entrepreneurship, you working more than you did when you was out in the
Doing
workforce.
a 9 to 5, you working 10 to 16 hour
A
days.
day. Yep.
And then like I'm like since I work inside the home, other than me being an entrepreneur, after I get up and take a break, I'm making dinner. I'm
Mm.
helping kids with homework. I'm like my mom hat goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Like and then after my like and then like you see my son just like was waiting in the wings, let me know
Yeah.
where you want. So the mom that never goes away because I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I wouldn't trade it for the world. But like you said, there's been times I remember my son had gotten into a car accident in February. He was
Mm.
crossing the street and a car hitting.
Mm.
And I remember I was I think it was the first night after he was in the hospital, the emergency room. I was going to go home, change my clothes, take a nap, and I have a playlist that's called Praise and Purpose. I put it on,
Mm.
and I don't know what song came on. I know I just started crying, and I was like, "Listen, you can't take my son. You can't take me. Like if you want, like we're just going to fight this out because
I
I don't
know.
know what's going on. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, like you said, when you're in it, it was what happened to him wasn't the first blow for me. It was like again shutting down my website and then the other small things, and then oh my god, you get a phone call about your son,
Mm-hmm.
my only son, and then you're seeing him, and then you're in the hospital all night, and then it's just like, yo, I mean,
And everything is everything piles on at once. And then you're
yeah,
like, I'm getting ready. Why can't I was telling somebody the other day,
you get to the point where you just want to fight. Like,
yeah.
listen.
I said, somebody asked me, they said, how you doing? I said, I'm good. I said, but I think sometimes now that I'm older,
Mhm.
I'll be 39. And I'm like, now that I'm older, sometimes I think the most peace that I would have is if I could go to the top of a mountain and just holler. If I could
Mhm.
just scream and get it all out. Just do you know how I'm like people don't realize how much how much peace that would be.
Yep.
Because everything life life get real. And this when we're on this walk and this entrepreneur path, this is not for the weak.
No, it's not. It really isn't. I mean, it's it's like more entrepreneurs, they talk about all like their successes and
Mm,
like where they at right now, but they don't tell you the couple years before them until the dam broke for them. They're not. I mean, some will like kind of shine a light on it, but there's a lot that don't tell you the sleepless nights, or
mm,
they wasn't sure how this bill was going to get paid,
mm, mm.
or telling their kids they can't go on vacation this year or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. And then
Hmm.
like I mean, again, I wouldn't change it for anything. Have I questioned like my decisions sometimes? Yes, I did,
Hmm.
because it's like, yo, did I? Because when I never want to move out of God's time,
Mm.
and
Dang.
sometimes I felt that I have moved in my own thoughts and feelings, thinking this is what God wants me to do, and convincing myself this move is the right move because I feel it. And then but I feel like, and I'm like, well, I have to remember sometimes I said you and God talked about this and he presented you an opportunity and it was a good move to make. And a seance is God doesn't drive parked cars. So if
Mm.
you do what if you don't move, God's not going to move you. He's going to sit right there with you until you decide like, well, didn't gave you the tools and
Ooh.
you still sitting here. So I had to realize, as long as I keep doing my part, God's going to do the parts that I can't do.
Mm.
And at the end of the day, he always has. And when I'm moving through, when sometimes I can't see the path, I think he's burning my ropes off in this fire, like for me to come out more stronger, and so
Mm.
I can stand a little taller. And it's it's never going to be 100% easy, and I accept that. I've never had anything easy.
Mm-hmm.
I always kind of had to fight and prove myself to other
And
people.
and it's funny. I would I would rather it that way too sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what
No,
I mean?
sometimes I wish some things was just like here.
No, I do. No, please, please don't misunderstand me. It's I do want it, you know, sometimes to be difficult because, like you
Mhm,
said, we learn from it and we come out stronger. But again, sometimes, yeah, like we were talking about being in that fire and all that, and the tree
mhm.
limbs and stuff on it. Yeah, sometimes it's like, look here, just here you go, and it's like, okay, thank you, Jesus.
He's like, yes.
Yeah, because
He's
it's
like,
because it can get exhausting. It can get
yeah.
exhausting, and then sometimes when you do have a chance to lay down and go to sleep, as an entrepreneur, your mind doesn't shut off.
Mm-mm.
It,
Mine never stops
mm-mm,
running. I said my Virgo brain is
mm-hmm,
always constantly moving. And it's not always about like, it's like there's business stuff. It's just like, okay, what do I gotta do tomorrow?
mm-hmm,
What's the what can I check off, or what has to be done for the kids, or what's going on? Like, how are you going to maneuver through this? So my brain never shuts off. Like
mm-hmm.
sometimes I hate sleeping with the TV on, but sometimes until I fall asleep, I leave it on, because if I turn it off too early, my mind is constantly running, so I can't sleep.
Yep, yep. That is, yeah, and that's now. I'm gonna ask you,
Hmm.
knowing what you know now, is there anything in your business that you would have done differently with your brand when you were starting out?
I probably wouldn't. If knowing what I know now, I would have named. I probably would have named it something different other than just my name. Because I think
Okay.
when I started, I just wanted my name. I didn't want anybody else to have it. So there was real no rhyme or reason
Mm-hmm,
to name the business after myself. It was just my name. Like, I don't hear a lot of people with the name JoNia.
mm-hmm,
So that was just, so I just wanted my name so I could keep my name to be associated with my art. That
mm-hmm,
was my main reason. So there was no real thought process of thinking about it, the business and separating. And I would have did that. I think I just would have named it different, because I think I set up everything the way it was supposed to. I did my research and
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
It was just the name part. I feel like if I probably would have walked in with a different name, I probably would have treated it differently, other than thinking we're the same person. I am
Mm-hmm,
this brand, and the brand is me.
mm-hmm. Now, JoNia now,
Mhm.
what would you tell little JoNia if when little JoNia knows, you know, figures out what she wants to do, what would you now tell her to just kind of help her navigate through the path of life?
Um, Everybody's no isn't your no. Just because somebody told you no, it doesn't mean it's a permanent no for you. That means knock on another door, go another way. Hell, some of the people that told you no don't know what they're talking about. So
Mm-hmm.
don't let what they say affect you. And I feel like growing up, I learned that everybody's opinion of you doesn't mean that's who you are. And most of them, the thoughts they had about you, because they don't know you, is she can't do the job. Like, she's weak. Like, how can she see? Like, nobody thought I would be able to drive. I had my license since I was 18. To
Mm-hmm.
me, that was a focus of a determination of, like, you're not going to tell me I can't do something.
Yep.
And like like my brothers have told me, like, they see me as like an inspiration, like, because they don't understand how I can do some of the things that they see me as their little sister.
Yep.
I'm always their baby sister. But they've told me, like, we don't the things that you do is crazy. Like when they see my artwork, they don't understand how that can come from me,
Mm-hmm.
knowing like my visual impairment and stuff like that. They just like you're like they. I mean, I know families always tells you you're amazing and stuff, but it means it's coming from them, especially my two older brothers that have their own successful businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing the praise from them means a lot than it would come from anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing what they like, knowing that they're proud of me is like you could tell me I hit the lottery. Knowing I get
Yeah.
that compliment and praise from them is far beyond anything.
And it's um again, like I said, I feel like I'm I've said this to a few of my guests, but it just goes to show how we're all our culture is we all have the same feelings. I feel like I'm talking to myself or a female like me
Mm-hmm.
sometimes because it's just the things like it's when you're going through stuff and you're and you're pushing to get to a certain point in your life, and whether it's business or just anything, like you said, everybody's no's are, or even some people's yeses, it's they're appreciative, but it's like when it comes from certain people,
Mm-hmm.
that's a totally different. That's like a fresh glass of water in the summertime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just it refreshes your soul, and it's like, you know what, I am doing the right thing. You know what I mean? I'm on the right
Mm-hmm.
thing, and this gives me the energy to keep on moving.
Yeah, it makes it honestly it diminishes those times when you like you said when we're going through the storm, the trees, the when you see someone not like that you do work for someone and they're like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. I love it." And they are genuinely happy with the end product. It makes it worth those times. Like those times they become very small in that moment of just this is another confirmation I'm where I'm supposed to be,
Mm-hmm.
despite what might have went on yesterday or last week. This is another like God saying, "I told you,
Yeah,
I
and
told you."
yep, and it's something too. Just you just said that. I'm like, it always comes at the right time, just when God is like,
Hmm.
I see you teetering of like, I'm sick of this. Like this is a lot. He's like, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna send somebody just to give you a little confirmation to just say, hey man, you doing what you're supposed to do. Just keep on. And
yeah,
everybody needs that. You know what I mean? That
yeah,
a lot of times when we working and we're doing a lot of just moving, we get so focused on some stuff. It's like you see us working, but it's rough. And
hmm,
and those little nuggets of just words of confidence sometimes can go further than what a lot of people think it can.
yeah. And I think a lot of, I mean, for me, I can't talk to a whole bunch of people about some of the things I'm going through because sometimes people just don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's just like I mean, as trying to do business and for myself and trying to make certain moves and do certain people don't get it. So their response to you might be something like, I didn't ask you that. Like that's not
Yeah.
that's not what I needed. I really
Mm-hmm.
needed from you.
Yep.
And even like sometimes like I said, my brothers, they're both entrepreneurs. Like I have like 8 siblings, but my
Mm-hmm.
two of my older brothers are they're hairstylists in
Okay.
Delaware. So like even talking like I can talk to them about certain things, but even talking to them about my art and stuff, it's not the same because
Mm-hmm.
we're not even in the same realm and
Mm-hmm.
like they're dudes. So it's like you might not get what I'm
Yeah.
trying to talk about right now.
Yeah.
So it's I mean it's hard to have that person or that network of people that kind of you can relate to. And I think that's why part like I do I was what inspires me to do what I do because I want to be able to build a network of women that we can come together and just talk about some of these hard things that
Mm-hmm.
you might not have that person or that support system you can talk to about it. So because I know for me, a lot of times I don't. Like again, I have my husband and I talk to him
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes he doesn't get it either because he doesn't do what I do. So sometimes his feedback is like, you're not understanding, or
Yeah.
I might not really hear what he's saying because either I'm not conveying it the right way, and my entrepreneurial hat is still on,
Yeah.
and he's talking to me, and I'm like, "You're not
Mm-hmm.
understanding."
Yeah.
So sometimes it's hard.
It can be entrepreneurship can be it can be a lonely road sometimes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You have your moments where you have people who help you, but like you said, when you're some things when you need people to talk to, it's like you're kind of in that space by yourself sometimes. You kind of got to weed out of those webs and all of that stuff too, just to get
Mm-hmm.
through. So, what have you do all of this? All the stuff that you've done, and everything that's going on. What have you learned mentally and spiritually about yourself?
Um, Spiritually, I know I always knew that God already had me. I like my
Mm-hmm.
favorite psalm is this grace and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Is Psalm 23. I love the whole psalm. Like I know who God is to me. Like I'm not a religious person. I
Mm-hmm.
have a relationship with God. I don't have like I have a relationship with him. And I know I can talk to him about anything. He shows up for me whenever I need him. Like he brought me into this world with no vision at all. And he has brought me where I am right now. So for me not to believe that he got me would be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know he has his hand all over me. And even like I might not always followed his direction, but I always believe he brought me exactly where I needed to be at the exact time. Mentally, like I had to learn to, you know, communicate and let people know like, yo, right now I might be struggling a little bit, so I need someone to talk to, or I have a lot to get off my chest. Like I've called my best friend before, and I'm like, I need to know if it's okay if I can dump on you right now. If it's not, like I had to learn, like sometimes just dumping on someone is not always good because they might not be able to receive the energy that
Mm-hmm.
you're giving over to them. So I learned to ask, like, yo, is it okay for me to kind of vent because I feel like I need to really get it out, and vice versa. Like she'll call me like, yo, I need, like, okay, I'm cool. I can take on your energy right now because
Yeah.
sometimes you can't take on everybody's energy. Like even
Ooh.
if it's just call to say, hey, what's going on? Oh, this, and this. And I'm like, I'm gonna call you back because I can't.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
can't do that right now. I can't,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm trying to move my own stuff and you giving me your energy. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned I can't always, I would always keep a lot of things to myself and kind of hold on to it until like my cup just exploded, and it went over whoever was just standing in front of me because
Mm-hmm.
everything got so built up. So mentally and emotionally, I had to learn to, you know what, I might have to sit in my feelings for a minute until I kind of like feel like how I feel about it, then talk about it.
Yeah.
So I learned that for myself. Like, okay, when people say, if something happened, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I can't really verbalize how I feel right now. Let me sit with my feelings for a second for me to understand how this feels. And because I don't want to come across mean or nasty or hateful, and when it wasn't like that, or I might just be going through my own thing. So just give me a minute. So usually that's what I had to learn to kind of express myself, um, not hold on to stuff too long, um, and just like I know who I am. I know my relationship with God. I know who He is in my life. I know who He is to me. I can't speak how He is for everybody else. I just know
Yeah.
who He is to me.
And that's what he does. That's what God asks us all to do is just all he asks. He said, just get a relationship with me.
Mm-hmm.
Me and you, let's have our own relationship with each other.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people, we tend to think a lot of people make you think that because you don't go to church or something like that, that you're not as spiritual as somebody else. It's like you don't know what me and God talk about. You don't know
Mm-mm,
what
nope.
our relationship is, what it is, and that's what he asked. That's what he asked to do. And he's like you said, he's keeping us. And what you said earlier about when you said you learned you got to sit in it for a second before you start speaking. I had to learn that from
Mm-hmm.
my wife because she does that. And
Mm-hmm.
at the time, you know, years prior, I'm like, we're talking. What do you mean? Like, let me just, I can't talk about it right now. For me, I wouldn't call it arguments. We just had like debates. It wasn't like no
Mm-hmm.
hollering and screaming and nothing like that. It's never been like that. But you know, like when we have disagreements and stuff, I'm like, we talking. What do you mean you gonna come back? I'm like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
ready. I'm ready to talk. Like you,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like, no, just give me a few moments. And as time went on, I'm like, I get it now. Like you know,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to say something that could be detrimental or something like that. You know, just because of how you feeling. Let me calm down first
Mm-hmm.
before I do knock you upside your head. That that would be what she would be thinking. You know, and it's
Yeah,
like,
because sometimes you like you if I say what I want to say, you're not gonna like it,
it's
and
gonna
I
be
might be
worse.
wrong.
Yep.
I might
Yeah.
be dead wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So let
Yep.
me process for a minute, and I'll get back with you on that when I feel I can kind of really verbalize and communicate what I
Mm-hmm.
really want to say. Because if I'm speaking in the moment, it's not gonna be nice because I'm my emotions are at a 10,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and I'm feeling, and you could be I could be feeling defensive, I could be angry, like there's a lot of emotions going on, so I need to kind of figure how I feel about it, and try to have a clear discussion before
Yeah.
it's a verbal
I know,
just
back and forth. I know. So what advice would you have for somebody? Would you give to somebody who's trying to become an entrepreneur?
um the advice I would give them, it would be like pursue your purpose. If this what you really believe this is what you're supposed to do it. But have a plan. Like if you're working a 9 to 5, build a fund up to make sure you have a cushion. Like I don't would recommend someone leaving a job just I'm going to work and I'm gonna quit today with no plan. I mean, there's probably people out there who's done it and it worked out for them.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't that kind of person. Like I had to have a plan.
Yeah.
When I was ready to go, I had a plan in place. I had um a fund just in case like things if I was a little slow this month, I could tap into the fund or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like, but if you really feel in your heart that you're supposed to be doing something different and you're supposed to be in business for yourself or pursuing a certain kind of career, pursue it. Pursue your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Pursue what sets your soul on fire. Don't let anyone tell you not to do it because of their own fear. Don't let someone else's fear be projected on to you. So, I mean, because I know what that feels like having someone's fear and it might not, it just like you said, when they were telling me to go back to school just to have something else under my belt, that was their fear
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
wanted to make sure I was okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I took on that fear and went back. Not saying it was the wrong or the right move for me, but at the time it's just like I that's what happened. So, but like when someone's trying, like, have a plan, have a emergency fund available when you need it, and have some kind of support system, whether it be a friend or therapist
Mm-hmm.
or someone that you can talk to because you're gonna have bad days.
Ooh.
It's
Oh Jesus.
you're some days. I mean, you're there's gonna be a lot of hard days more than there's good days until you kind of reach that plateau of where
Mm-hmm.
God said, you know what, you done passed every test I done put you through. I done threw everything at you. Now here's your reward and open us that door for you. But until then, like it's a lot of peaks and valleys, and you have to be ready for that.
Mm.
Every day's not gonna be a good day.
Yeah, that might be some of the best advice because you can people can say that they know that when you give
Hmm.
them that advice, but until you're in it, you you'll never understand when somebody says there's going to be peaks and valleys. There could
Mm-hmm.
be some days where you feel like, man, this is like really working. This is next few days. It's like, what in the world just happened? Like, but you have to within yourself and the belief that you have in your gift and your purpose. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to stand steady, like in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it gets because man, that hot and cold, boy.
It's
That
like
can
you
get
you
real.
forever turning in the atmosphere. 1 minute you toward
Yeah.
the sun, and, and the
Woo.
next minute your back toward the moon. It's a
Golly.
constant rotation. And another thing I would tell people like don't I mean, unless you really sure about the kind of advice this person's going to give you, like you can't go for everybody for advice either. You need to know
Mhm.
who you're talking to get real, and don't accept anybody's unsolicited advice. Listen, that's didn't ask you for that.
I know.
I didn't ask you for your opinion. Like I don't know. That's not what I came to you for. Or you just had it on your heart to say no. I didn't ask. We can
Yeah.
skip it.
Yep. Now, where can they reach you on social media?
They can find me on IG at JoNia Miller and IG on Virgo Chanel official. Um, TikTok, I think it's I because they banned my other TikTok and I had to start over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what did you ban me for? I wasn't doing anything. You can find me on TikTok at J Miller, and Threads also is JoNia Miller.
Okay. Now, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you for jumping on this podcast with me today. You're gonna help a lot of people when this podcast comes out, because we talking about just the mental that it takes to get through entrepreneurship, and your brand that I think is your brand is dope.
Thank you.
Come when you figure out the dates, I'm gonna help you push it out, and let people know,
I
because
appreciate that. Thank you
we,
so much.
we all have to help each other. If
Thank
we're going to do this thing and we're going to be entrepreneurs, we got to learn to build each other up and not be so envious of somebody's winnings. You know what I mean?
you. Yeah.
Or different things that they're doing. We should all want to see people that everybody, but when it comes to people that look like us and things like that, we want to give a little bit more care and
Hmm.
help towards it, because we know the traumas and stuff we've been through. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing stomping on each other for? You know what I mean? It's like, we should build each other. When we see us, we should be happy and we should smile and want to see all of us do better. So I, again, I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hmm.
I really, really, really appreciate it.
Hmm.
I
I
enjoyed our conversation.
yeah, yeah, and maybe later on down the line we could jump back on and we could talk about other stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah, we can come up with some topics or something to talk about. So yeah, Miss JoNia, you the bomb. You know that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know that. But
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Like
yeah.
this has been really dope for me. Like I really enjoy. Like I feel like I am a behind the scenes kind of girl. Like,
Hmm.
but being here and like I'm very comfortable.
Yeah, yeah. So it's weird because when I was in school, I didn't talk to nobody. I was probably
Hmm.
one of the quietest people. So now me having a podcast, people probably that I went to school with are probably saying, "What the heck is Ryan doing?" Like, he's talking. You know what I mean? But this is a comfortable space for me now. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But yeah, it's what I do. I just want to create a platform for everybody to come and just to be themselves and show their creativities and their purposes and stuff. And I like highlighting people. So
Thank you.
hmm
Like this is dope. Like you put this platform is going to be absolutely amazing. Like you're going to shine a light on so many people.
I appreciate that. I really do. So again, JoNia, I appreciate you for jumping on this podcast again. And again, hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely.
You're on YouTube, baby.